Hello everyone, today let us discuss about bacterial keratitis. Let us discuss in a manner in which we can easily remember and represent it in the final exams. First, bacterial keratitis. What is keratitis? Keratitis means inflammation of cornea due to infection of bacteria is known as bacterial keratitis. This you can write in the starting introduction points. Next, etiology. Mentioning side headings is really important. First, introduction. Next, etiology. Etiology is means how what are the reasons for the disease to occur. It can be prerequisite conditions, next predisposing factors, and causative organisms. Okay, etiology is three like in three subheadings: prerequisites, predisposing factors, and causative organisms. First, what are prerequisites? Prerequisites are breach in corneal epithelium. If there is some irregularity or breach in corneal epithelium, it can easily allow the bacteria to enter into the corneal stroma and cause keratitis, that is inflammation or infection. Next, pathogenic organism to reach the eroded area. First, you need a breach in corneal epithelium, and along with it you need a pathogenic organism to cause the keratitis. Next, what are the predisposing factors? Here we have previously learned that we need breach and pathogenic organism. To cause breach, what are the predisposing factors? Breach can be caused by trauma, on road accidents, corneal abrasion due to foreign body, epithelial drying. If there is drying in the epithelia, it can cause breach, necrosis of epithelium, discombation of epithelial cells, and epithelial damage due to trophic changes. We may not remember each and everything, but remembering at least 3 or 4 is enough, like trauma, corneal abrasion, epithelial drying, necrosis of epithelium. Okay, next, pathogens. There are some pathogens which can invade the intact corneal epithelium. Means these above predisposing factors are not necessary for these bacteria to invade. So, they are Neisseria gonorrhoeae, Neisseria meningitidis, Corynebacterium diphtheriae, Haemophilus aegypticus, Listeria species. Again, we may not remember each and everything. We can remember Neisseria gonorrhoeae, Neisseria meningitidis, Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Enough. Okay. Next, predisposing factors which lower the host resistance. Here predisposing first to this bacteria, if they have to attack us, we need to have less immunity, right? What are the factors that lessen the host immunity? They are topical steroids, diabetes mellitus, systemic steroids, immunosuppressants, or HIV/AIDS. Okay. Next, causative organisms. Here they gave a huge list of bacteria, but even though we read everything here, we may not write everything in the exam. So let us discuss what we need to write in the exam. Okay. What are the common bacteria causing bacterial keratitis? Most common bacteria are Staphylococcus, whereas in contact lens virus, the most common bacteria are Pseudomonas. Okay. Next, what is the source of infection? Source of infection can be, as we previously studied, can be due to foreign body from outside, and sometimes it can be due to infection from conjunctival sac, lacrimal sacs, and surrounding structures. Okay. Next, what is the pathogenesis and pathology of corneal ulcer? First, remember again from the beginning. First, we need to write introduction, etiology. Next, pathogenesis. Okay, after completing etiology in another 3 subheadings, we are moving on to pathogenesis. Pathogenesis and pathology of corneal ulcer. Okay, pathogenesis is once the corneal epithelium is damaged, by the offending agent. Pathogenesis occurs in 4 stages. They are stage of progressive infiltration. That is after first is stage of progressive infiltration, stage of active ulceration, stage of regression, stage of cicatrization. What happens in stage of infiltration is let us discuss in further. Just a minute. Okay. First, there is this is the 4 stages of pathogenesis, and what is the course? All these things we need not mention in the exam because it will be really huge to write. Okay, first, pathogenesis occurs in 4 stages. Again, we are now moving to pathology of corneal ulcer. Pathology of corneal ulcer we can discuss in 3 subheadings. Like, see, first of all, corneal ulcer, it can be a superficial localized corneal ulcer. Sometimes it can perforate, right? If the bacteria is of high virulence, it can perforate, and after perforating, if there is formation of anterior staphyloma, so another type. Okay, These are not actually types, like it depends upon the virulence and host immunity. It is seriousness of the infection. Okay, first we'll be discussing about pathology of localized corneal ulcer. Localized means it is only in that particular place. In this localized corneal ulcer, first is stage of progressive infiltration. As we have seen here, pathology of localized corneal ulcer, first stage is progressive infiltration. In this infiltration, bacteria attacks on corneal epithelium, and it attaches to the epithelium, and uh, it slowly stimulates the infiltration of polymorphin. Sorry. Now what happens is on breach, if there is any breach in corneal epithelium due to any damage, the bacteria attacks over the epithelium, and bacteria starts damaging the epithelium. Due to this damage, there will be infiltration of polymorphonucleosides and lymphocytes to attack against the bacteria, and subsequently there will be necrosis of the involved tissue of cornea, and depending upon the virulence of the offending agent, the strength of the host mechanism. If our immunity is good, we can fight against the bacteria and it will resolve. If not, it will forward to next stages, like stage of active ulceration. Active ulceration means there will be necrosis and sloughing of the epithelium, or like, to remember this properly, whatever we are reading here, what I'm telling, like try to imagine it in a type of animation. Okay, so you'll be remembering it easily. First stage is stage of localized corneal. In localized corneal ulcer, the first stage is stage of progressive infiltration, that is bacteria attacks on the breached epithelium of cornea. And next stage of active ulceration, see, you can see here, stage of progressive infiltration, bacteria attacking on epithelium. Next stage of active ulceration, causing ulcers. Okay, stage of active ulceration, there will be necrosis and sloughing of the epithelium, Bowman's membrane, and involved stroma. Okay, the walls are active ulcer, and this all is not that necessary. Okay, next, at this stage, sides and floor of the ulcer may show gray infiltration and sloughing. There will be sloughing of the ulcer, like you can see here. Next, during the stage of active ulceration, there occurs hyperemia of the circumcorneal vessels. There will be around the cornea, there will be congestion, and due to vascular congestion of iris and ciliary body, and there will be hyperemia of the circumcorneal vessels, and due to this there will be more infiltration of lymphocytes and polymorphonuclear, and there will be formation of hypopion in the anterior chamber. Okay, what is hypopion means collection of whitish pus like thing in the anterior chamber is known as hypopion. And as this hypopion is not due to bacteria, like bacteria does not go into anterior chamber and create hypopion. Due to infiltration of lymphocytes, hypopion is formed, so this hypopion is almost sterile. Okay, next, ulceration may further progress by lateral extension, resulting in diffuse superficial ulceration, or it may progress deeper and penetrate the Descemet's membrane of the cornea. If it penetrates the Descemet's membrane, it is known as descemetocele. Okay, next, first we have seen stage of progressive infiltration, next stage of active ulceration. Again, now we are looking into stage of regression. Here in stage of regression, the infection is controlled. Regression is due to natural host defense mechanisms. Now in stage of regression, a stage of demarcation, a particular line is formed around the ulcer. Okay, and there occurs digestion of necrotic material. The necrotic material is formed in active ulceration. The necrotic material formed here will be digested, and due to the digestion of necrotic material, there will be, like, it may look like enlargement of that ulcer, but actually that ulcer is healing. Okay, and in this process there will be vascularization of superficial layers of cornea, and increases the humoral and cellular immune response. Due to vascularization, more and more lymphocytes will be brought to that cornea, so there will be healing of that cornea. Next, moving on to fourth stage, that is stage of cicatrization. In this stage, healing continues and progressive epithelialization, which forms a permanent covering. Okay, and necrosis is completely healed, necrosis tissue is digested, and in cicatrization stage, progressive epithelialization occurs, which forms permanent covering of the cornea. Okay, when actually this is really important, when ulcer involves Bowman's membrane of the cornea, below epithelium there will be Bowman's membrane. If the ulcer involves Bowman's membrane and some superficial stroma, epithelium, Bowman's membrane, and some superficial stroma lamellae. If they are involved, it can cause nebula. And if there is 1/3 involvement of corneal thickness, it can cause macula. If there is more than 1/3 involvement, okay, more than 1/3 involvement of the stroma along with epithelium and Bowman's membrane, in such cases after healing it causes glaucoma. Okay, remember this: nebula, macula, glaucoma. It is like severity. Okay, next, this is like stage of cicatrization. Okay, next, pathology of perforated corneal ulcer. I forgot to mention here that degree of scarring varies from severity. Okay, if ulcer is very superficial and involves only epithelium, it heals without leaving any opacity behind. But if it is involving stroma, it can cause some opacity after healing. Okay, and it can hinder vision if it is in the pupillary region. Next, pathology of perforated corneal ulcer. Here we have seen pathology of localized corneal ulcer. Means it is just a corneal ulcer. It is which is like occurring. But if this corneal ulcer becomes more severe and if host immunity is less, it may progress and lead to perforation of corneal ulcer. First, in perforation, it occurs when the ulcerative process deepens and reaches up to Descemet's membrane. Descemet's membrane lies below the stroma. After damaging the whole stroma, it reaches Descemet's membrane. If see, this Descemet's membrane is really tough. Okay, when the infection reaches, this is really tough. This layer is really tough. So this causes, but see, it causes thinning of the cornea, right? So it causes a bulging. So it is known as descemetocele. Why this causes bulging? Why does this cause bulging actually? Because see, there will be cornea, and inside there will be everything like aqueous humor and everything, and there will be rise of intraocular pressure due to infection, and this cornea is getting thinned out, and due to this thinning, this descemetocele is only remaining. So when this descemetocele is only remaining, it causes bulging of descemetocele. Like it will be like a bulge. I'll show you here. See, this is descemetocele, a bulge here. Okay, you can see descemetocele. Next, at this stage, an exertion of the patient, like if there is any forceful coughing, any sneezing force applied, or there is any severe straining of stool, in that cases it will perforate the corneal ulcer, and the whole aqueous fluid escapes outside, intraocular pressure reduces, and lens diaphragm moves forward. Okay, depends upon the position, and the effects of perforation depends upon the position and size of perforation. Okay, and after perforation, what happens is the whole iris and lens, everything come forward. Mainly iris comes forward, and it fills the gap of that perforation. Okay, now we'll be looking in next about it. Pathology of sloughing corneal ulcer and formation of anterior staphyloma. If the infecting agent is highly virulent and body resistance is low, whole cornea sloughs off. Not the small part, but whole cornea is totally necrosed except a narrow rim at the margin, and total prolapse of the iris occurs. The whole iris comes forward from that hole, from that perforation. Okay, the iris becomes inflamed. The iris becomes really inflamed, and exudates block the pupil. Pupil means the iris will be around pupil. Pupil is the part from which light enters inside. Okay, and pupil becomes really small because iris is congested big, and it leads to blockage of that perforation. Okay, imagine, like think about it in your brain, like what I am telling, keep it like, okay. Pupil and cover the iris surface, and a false cornea is formed. Ultimately, the exudates organize and form a thin fibrous layer of the conjunctiva corneal epithelium. First, iris becomes inflamed and exudates block the pupil and covers the iris surface. Next, after this, false cornea is formed. On this false cornea, there will surrounding epithelium, conjunctival epithelium may cover the false cornea, or corneal epithelium may cover. So it is like a duplicate cornea is formed. Actually, cornea is totally gone, but some adjustment has been done by the body. This is known as pseudocornea. Okay, and this pseudocornea is really thin. It is not actually a complete cornea. It is really thin and cannot withstand the intraocular pressure. So it usually bulges forward along with the plastered iris tissue. Okay, this ectatic cicatrix is called anterior staphyloma. When the pseudocornea is bulging with iris tissue, inflamed iris tissue, this is known as anterior staphyloma. See, now we have discussed pathology in three stages. I mean, not stages actually, but three different types depending upon the seriousness of the infection. First, pathology of localized corneal ulcer. Next, pathology of perforated corneal ulcer. Pathology of sloughing corneal ulcer and formation of anterior staphyloma. Okay.